Okay, so as Turning Point is getting ready to rebut Candace Owens' wild conspiracy theories surrounding the Charlie Kirk shooting, I just want to remind you of this. This is the text exchange which the FBI gave to the Utah prosecutors. This tweet dated September 16th. This is the totally credible text exchange between Tyler Robinson and his trans furry lover, who texts him, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson says, "I am. I'm sorry." Roommate says, "I thought they caught the person." "No, they grabbed some crazy dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of the side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there is one vehicle lingering." Why? Why did I do it? Yeah, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. So again, he's saying when he did it, how he did it, why he did it, all very conveniently laid out in this text exchange. And nobody buys this. Not even the right-wing media people buy this. So Kash Patel goes on the Megyn Kelly show, and she actually asks him about this text exchange. And notice he does not vouch for it as definitively as you might think.
Can I ask you, Kash, the text messages between Tyler Robinson and his roommate Lance Twiggs, the reason a lot of people think Tyler didn't do it is because they sound kind of fake. You know, the wording just sounds a little strange. Like, I thought they caught the person, or no, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" "I am. I'm sorry." They go on from there. "Why did I do it?" "Yeah, I had enough of his hatred," and so on. Do you have any reason to believe that that text exchange was not real between them for whatever reason, potentially even having been orchestrated between the two of them?
Look, I understand the emotion behind this case. Charlie was my friend. He was your friend. He was assassinated in the most brutal way in a public forum where he was trying to have engagement with the youth of the United States of America. And while I was representing the White House at Ground Zero in New York City on 9/11, we made the decision to pivot immediately and fly out to Utah to make sure we executed this manhunt. We went out there. The FBI seized the
I made
video
sure
evidence,
before I got off the plane, I had my jacket and my patches.
Yeah, exactly.
But once I had that, I got off the plane, as you know.
Yes, once I looked the part, I agreed to do my job.
Put it out to the public immediately. And then this individual was caught in 33 hours. And so I understand that there's so much charged emotion on the other evidence that was collected, the notes that you were talking about, the text message. Excuse me. And we present that information to the prosecutors to make the determination based on the evidence we have as to whether or not they were real. I can't stylize or comment on it because it's an ongoing investigation.
Wait a minute. So you're saying you gave them to the prosecutors to make the determination whether they're real or not? Well, if they're not real, where'd they come from? Like you came in possession of them, right? And then you gave them.
Seized the video evidence and put it out to the public immediately. And then this individual was caught in 33 hours. And so I understand that there's so much charged emotion on the other evidence that was collected, the notes that you were talking about, the text message. Excuse me. And we present that information to the prosecutors to make the determination based on the evidence we have as to whether or not they were real. I can't stylize or comment on it because it's an ongoing investigation, but I don't believe the prosecutors in the state of Utah would be using any piece of information or evidence that was not credible.
Okay, so that's his answer. Notice not oh yeah, no, those are real. He seemed much more confident that those were real back in September. So Director Kash Patel, he had a text message exchange with another individual, which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. Seems much more confident a few months ago that these were real.
FBI director is not to speak to motive, is to speak to the facts. And that's what I'm going to do. His family has collectively told investigators that he subscribed to left-wing ideology, and even more so in these last couple of years. And he had a text message exchange, he the suspect, with another individual, in which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. Those are factually accurate investigatory findings by the FBI that we've handed over to the local authorities and the federal authorities to make their prosecutorial decisions.
Okay, so assuming you're talking about the same exchanges, I don't know of any other text exchange that has been talked about. It seems like you're talking about that because he says in the text exchange with the lover that I just couldn't deal with his hatred. You just described those as factual findings by the FBI. Back that tape up.
Claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. Those are factually accurate investigatory findings by the FBI that we've handed over to the local authorities and the federal authorities to make their prosecutorial decisions.
Okay, so he seems pretty confident that those are real back in September, but now he won't confirm that to Megyn Kelly. And if you gave that information to the prosecutors, then isn't it reasonable to discern that you discovered that, which he's pretty much saying he found it. He's saying these are the FBI's findings. These are factually accurate. We gave them to the prosecutors. But 3 months later, he doesn't seem too keen to back that up. He doesn't seem so sure of himself at this point.
He also blames Utah.
Yeah. And he also
it's kind of a pattern
Utah.
With these guys.
Yeah.
I fully back those people who produced this. I fully back the admiral who bombed the boat.
Yeah. So which is it? Which is it? Seems extraordinarily incompetent. Extraordinarily incompetent. So Jay Ann says Charlie Kirk cover-up, Epstein cover-up, JFK cover-up, 9/11 cover-up, Trump shooting cover-up, National Guard shooting cover-up, and countless other cover-ups in America. Why is this such a common occurrence in the USA? Surely with such expertise in forensics, technology, etc., the American authorities should be able to investigate these incidents with precision and pinpoint the perpetrators. You would think so. You know, this has been a theme of this administration. They really seized on Americans' distrust of institutions, right? Be it law enforcement institutions, political institutions, public health institutions. And what they are doing is what Steve Bannon said the goal was, which is to just dismantle the administrative state. In other words, not to restore confidence in the institutions, but to take advantage in how weakened they have become to just cut the legs out from them altogether and just burn the whole thing down. That's clearly what we are getting here. We're not getting a restoration of trust. How could you trust what Kash Patel is saying now? He's saying we just showed you essentially asked the same thing 3 months apart. He vouches for their authenticity in September and now says, well, you know, it's not our problem anymore. We passed that on to Utah. Now it's their call. All of the questions surrounding this. This is so emblematic of how this has gone, which is this is not a restoration. It's not like we are making the FBI trustworthy again. They're doing to every institution what they did literally to the Department of Education, which is just sabotage it and render it irrelevant, render it meaningless, just basically get rid of it. I mean, you don't have a functional FBI right now. And the handling of this case is just about all the evidence you need to make that assessment.
It's kind of incredible how unqualified everyone in this administration is. And I'm certainly not making the MS or MS Now. I almost said MSNBC, the MS Now channel would make that, oh, you know, the previous administrations had the norms and guardrails and everything was great. But there was a basic level of technocratic competence that is not even there. They don't even seem to feel a need to make the cover-up look good, nor do they seem to have the competence to know how to go about that. These are all people who were hired for the quality of having no shame and absolutely no potential that they would ever disobey Donald Trump and his circle's orders. That's it. That's it. Kash Patel got hired more, I promise you, for writing a children's book in which he cast himself as a wizard protecting King Donald than for any other qualification. That showed what shit will this guy not eat. What order would he not follow? A guy that craven that he would write this great, just absolutely insane children's book about the wise King Donald. And he's proven that point. And that's why it's not like all of a sudden this came out. In his hearings, he was lying through his teeth. He denied knowing a podcaster he did 8 interviews with. And he still had a lot of people gassing him up like he's going to go in and clean up the FBI. If you read his book, Government Gangsters, it was very clear that if he were put in that position, he would just go after Donald Trump's enemies, because that was his entire interpretation of the deep state, that the problem with the deep state is their libs.
Right. Exactly.
Please clap.